What's up, guys? Happy Friday. Chuck and Nick here to bring you Occupy Fantasy, reviewing DraftKings and FanDuel. I'm sorry, I'm feeling a little under the weather. Took some NyQuil, didn't have DayQuil, so just bear with us today, Nick. Hope you can carry us. How we feeling?
Good man. I'm healthy. I mean, we've been joking in Discord that you're gonna have to have your flu game today, but yeah, we've been hot this week, man. Smitty had a few takedowns yesterday. I had a good day the day before. Just hoping to keep it rolling. There is so much to like on tonight's slate in every price range. The news keeps breaking, so we got plenty to talk about.
Yeah, I was supposed to open with that. Smitty painted the leaderboards on FanDuel yesterday. Took down a 70,000 person field. I think he got second in the pick and roll, shipped the small pick and roll. Uh, Finished with two top 15s in that $3 150 max. So shout out to Smitty, dude. Just crushed it yesterday.
Hell yeah.
Um, let's see. Let's just jump right into the questions. Appreciate you guys being here early. For one last spot in large field GPP on DK, would we play Kyrie or KD? So that's an interesting one to start with because that Phoenix game, I didn't realize there was anything going on, but Nick informed me that Devin Booker's questionable, but he's optimistic to play. So what are we looking at here?
I'd say go Kyrie unless Booker's out, then go KD. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong either way though. Even with Booker in, KD's been kind of, I don't know, outscoring Kyrie night to night. So if they're the same salary, like just go with the lower owned guy. But I think they're both great plays. But if Booker's out, it's definitely KD.
I agree. What's up, Heath? Good to see you every day. Mr. Don, what's up? DraftKings. Yep, I'm playing mostly on DraftKings today. I guess they're going to do the split slates thing all season, so we'll take a look at those night games towards the end. Is one of Jokic or Doncic necessary tonight?
I'll say no, but I will say this: they're very easy to get to because we do have so much value. So necessary is tough, especially I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of good guards. If Murray's out, I'd really want to get to Joker, but if Murray's back, I think that's enough of a cap on him that against Bam, maybe you don't need it. But again, with so much value, it's easy to get to these guys. It's not that I love them that much as individual plays in their matchups, but it's just so easy to have that salary.
Yeah, typically on these bigger slates, I would say no, but they both have something going for them tonight. Jokic. So Murray went through shoot around, if I'm remembering correctly, and he had a concussion. So if he went through shoot around, he's probably good to play. If he ends up missing, I'm gonna love Jokic as a play, even against Miami. We just saw him destroy OKC. Like he's completely matchup proof. It doesn't matter. And then with Luca hates Phoenix and Devin Booker. So if
That's
Devin
true.
Booker's in, like I actually give a little bit of weight to this narrative. Luca versus Phoenix. So, I mean, they both super stand out on the model. They're in a tier of their own at the top, even far separated from like Giannis, SGA, and Tatum.
Yeah, I mean Tatum against Brooklyn, he's fine. Honestly, the other night it saved me. I know how bullish I was on Tatum, but we got that late news that AD was out, so I pivoted to LeBron. Tatum was not good. He did get it going in the second half of that game. I forget who the Celtics were playing, but again, even with Jalen Brown out, they're just not on that tier of Luca and Jokic. I mean, Giannis is certainly capable, but this is not a good matchup for him against New York.
And I'll just mention Tatum had like 35 real points, and it was a terrible game for him.
Yeah, he
Just
only scored. Yeah, that was it. It was annoying.
favorite 10K plus play on FanDuel. What do you got, Nick?
It's probably Luca right now, just because I really like a lot of the value centers. Um, yeah, I guess I gotta say Luca. At least as things stand.
Washington rookie in your single entry. This is a good spot. I think this Washington Memphis game is probably my highest exposed. I think this is one of the more important games on the slate. It's a lot to like about it. Washington now plays at the highest pace in the NBA. OKC is second, which is something to keep in mind. I didn't realize that. But Memphis is battered. We're 2 weeks into the season already, down to 6 players for this Grizzlies roster every night. So Washington rookie, they have three pretty good ones. So I mean, let's start
Yeah,
with Washington. What do you see here, Nick?
I mean, Carrington looks great as value at point guard, but now that we have Alvarado kind of opening up on DK, I'm getting to Alvarado much more than I would Bub. But yeah, I mean, Sar's been fine. Not the best matchup for him, even against a banged up Memphis, but he's been solid. And Kaishan George, another guy. I mean, when you say rookie, I don't know which one you're talking about, Don. We got three of them that we like here. But again, I mean, Scottie Pippen, no brainer with both Bain and Morant out. Aldama, Wells, Jackson's starting to see regular minutes. He looks really good here. So yeah, it makes sense to kind of correlate your lineups a little bit, maybe get some run back from that Washington side. And all three rookies to me are in play. So I don't know which one you're talking about, but I think you're good to go either way.
Yeah, big thing is well, Koulibaly came out strong, but Keyshawn George came out okay, and then Carrington started off kind of weak in his first two
Oh
games,
yeah.
but they're all playing above 30 minutes, which is huge. And Koulibaly is completely forgotten. Keyshawn George 1%. Carrington's pulling some ownership. These guys all had good games recently. I did want to mention Marvin Bagley's coming back. Um, I don't think that Jonas Valanciunas can lose any more minutes. He still only played 20 against Golden State, but Marvin Bagley, we don't even have projected for 10. Just wanted to note that he's going to be in the rotation probably.
Yeah, and it sounds like Don's talking about Alexandre Sarr, who was the first overall pick, coming off 3 straight games where he hit value. I'm fine with it, man, especially where you can play him at power forward.
Yeah, I would say I'm wondering if Bagley could affect Sar, but Sar's been pretty good. I don't see them taking away minutes from a rookie who he actually looks better than expected. I think so.
Yeah, agreed.
We'll see. And then how do we feel about the Grizzlies two-way players? Well, I mean, what are our favorite spots on the Grizzlies here? Jaren Jackson is popping as a super value on DraftKings.
Yeah, so Jackson's always kind of annoying just in that we don't know that the minutes are there, but it's a good sign to see he's played 3 straight games over 30. I think he's 100% healthy now, at least as healthy as Jackson can be. And yeah, I mean, we look at the matchups. The Nets defense has actually been surprisingly good on ball. The Lakers defense in the front court, pretty tough with AD there, obviously. I don't know that he was in that game. But yeah, I mean, coming off 2 bad games, I think people might look at the game logs and say, hey, he hasn't been playing that great. This matchup is light years ahead of both of those, though, in my opinion. We're also getting Morant out. I think Morant was in for both of those games, so you're getting extra usage. Jackson checks all the boxes for me here. I mean, point per dollar, you're not going to find much better in the 7K range at any position on either site. So I absolutely love him. But yeah, were you just asking about Jackson first?
Well, pretty much everyone. So what I was really hoping for was I I thought Santi Aldama got the highest usage bump when Jaw was out last season, but every iteration that I did with like who was on the court, who was off the court, JJJ was definitely number one. Santi was right behind him, but yeah, JJJ gets a huge boost, but Santi's actually the player I have the most exposure to from this team. And then I'm trying to get more Scottie Pippen on DraftKings, but I'm not getting too much above that 20%.
Yeah, I mean on FanDuel, he's like kind of a core play for me because he's 500 cheaper. You also get the extra points for steals there. Um, I don't know if he's been getting many stocks this year, but historically, this is a guy we've seen with plenty of upside in that regard. So yeah, I like him on both sides. Again, great matchup here as well for Pippen, and I mean they're getting Kennard back, but I don't think they're really rushing to give him a ton of minutes. He played 18. I don't think that's going to cut into Pippen at all. And Kennard, I mean, he's a ball handler, but he's not a true point guard. I mean, he's kind of a shooting guard wing. Like the only true point guard on this team is Scottie Pippen. And I think Conchar is questionable as well. I know he's listed as a point guard. To me, he's a wing too. So they're going to need him on the floor a lot tonight, regardless of how this game goes.
And I actually just reran my set, and now I'm getting 50% Scottie Pippen and 70% Jaren Jackson. So I'm going to have to adjust some things. But either way, I think this is a game that we probably want a lot of exposure to.
Mhm.
Anyone from these other secondary players? I mean, Jalen Wells' price is up. He's 0% owned. Zach Edey's been pretty great, but we have like 10 value centers that we need to talk about today.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get to Edie. He has been playing better. I know I've been rough on him on these streams. I never thought he'd really translate that well to the NBA, but he's getting his. Jalen Wells on FanDuel, where he's only 5K, I think makes some sense. I'll be mixing him in. Then Laravia off the bench. I mean, this guy's a wide range of outcomes, but he's spiking higher ceilings than Aldama at times. I mean, we're seeing him in the 30 to 35 fantasy point range. So at his price, only 4.9 on FanDuel, 5,200 on DK. He's someone I'm mixing in. I like him coming off the bench because that's going to keep that ownership down. I mean, again, they need ball handlers. Laravia is not a point guard, but he can take the ball up the floor a couple times, and you'll feel okay about it. So I like Laravia a lot off the bench. That's kind of the one secondary play I have much interest in.
And Campaign and Kleber are out. So these guys have been out. Let's talk about Dallas first, since we already mentioned Luca. Daniel Gafford, number one play on DK values. His price came up slightly. He's 5,100. They're going to be without Derek Lively tonight. We have Gafford projected for 26 minutes. I mean, this is one of those value centers that we're probably going to get some exposure to. How much Gafford are you going to get?
I mean, I like him. I think I like Gogo a little bit more, just ownership and everything else considered. But Gafford's right there with him. This is something I'll be monitoring. We also have Kada for Boston in a good matchup against the Nets with no Cornet there anymore. So Yeah, I like Gafford, but there's a bunch of guys in that range I'm considering. Not a bunch, like 4 or 5, but yeah, he's in that group for me. Goga, I prefer slightly more, but I do prefer Gafford over Keita, and he's definitely one of the value centers I'll be mixing in pretty aggressively.
I will say my personal preference is also towards Goga, but the model prefers Gafford, so
Hmm.
just get exposure to both, I think.
Yeah, I get it. And I don't know. And Nurk isn't a great matchup, but we did. I think we were on together the first time these teams played, and it was like, well, Lively's the small guy. You got to go with Gafford here. Now Lively's not even in the rotation, so yeah, it's not a great matchup. But Gafford's shown he can score fantasy points on the floor against Nurk.
Jump into a mid-range center, Miles Turner versus Charlotte. Yeah, this is a spot I specifically looked into earlier. And initially, I didn't really think that Miles Turner gets that big of a boost for Charlotte, but he's
Hmm.
number 4 overall on DK value at 6,200. So that's something we need to pay attention to. This 46% ownership to me is absolutely insane, though. And so I like Turner today. I don't like him 46% though
Yeah, that price is kind of tough. But yeah, he's 62. What on one of the sites?
on
That's on
DraftKings.
DK.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on DraftKings, I like it. Again, I'll be mixing him in. But there's just so many good centers. Again, I like Gafford, I like Keita, I really like Goga, underowned. And if you're looking to pay up a bit for guys like Jokic, maybe Towns, a few of the others, I mean, I don't know, maybe match the field. Not actually, no. I'll probably come in half the field on DK. Maybe match it on FanDuel where he's a little bit more expensive, but the ownership's a little bit flatter there as well.
Yeah, I mean, so this is sorted by DK value right now, and you can kind of just see how many center only values we have on DraftKings. And so for me,
Oh,
just scrolling through my lineups, this is a 2 center night. My utility spot is almost exclusively centers. And this isn't even counting any of the pay ups. And really, the only mid range in here is Miles Turner. The rest of these guys are below 5K. So we're going to have to make
yeah.
some decisions.
Yeah, and one value center I didn't bring up yet is Isaiah Stewart with the rent out again. Only 4,300 on DK. I'd definitely add him to that group. On FanDuel, you could play him at power forward. So that's one way to get another center into your lineup.
Yeah, Isaiah Stewart is my highest owned value center as of right now. I think that we haven't projected for 28 minutes. And Nick mentioned to me before the show he doesn't typically see over 30, but I kind of think he could this game. And so even at 28 minutes, the 4,300 is pretty good. The value's fine. But if he
Mhm.
has the potential to play a couple more, then I really like it. And then Paul Reed, not too far behind him in value, projected for 1% ownership. The thing is, the price isn't too much cheaper than Isaiah Stewart. And so it's kind of just a high risk GPP pivot, but I don't mind getting a few percent on Paul Reed either.
Yeah, and I don't know how recently you refreshed the model. We're starting to see Robinson Earl towards the top now.
Yeah, he's
If
number
it means
two.
that Zion's out. I mean, Misi and Earl are both kind of viable here. I don't love either. Like, I'd rather go to this whole other group we've been talking about, especially Goga in that exact same game.
I didn't realize we had Robinson Earl projected for 31 minutes after Zion was out. So
It seems a little off. They have Daniel Tice on that roster too. I mean, it's possible he plays that much, but I don't know. After Goga, I mean, Mo Wagner's the backup center. They don't have to play that big here.
yeah, they could. Because Robinson Earl, if I'm not mistaken, isn't playing a lot of the minutes at the 4. He's not necessarily just playing the 5. And Missy kind of lost minutes last game. I'm not sure why. So his minutes projection is going to be a little bit volatile too. But I mean, Robinson Earl, 26, 34, 25 minutes in the last 3. I want to say Zion was in for all of those. This
Mhm.
is aggressive. 25% ownership. I'd want to see what this changes to after the model crunches a little bit longer.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
All right, let's see. We have a few more questions in the chat. What's good, Jayhawk? Jayhawk is going to be running the Discord in about 30 minutes after we're done on the stream.
All right.
Hawkes or Amon Thompson? So this is an interesting one. I wasn't really thinking about Jaime Hawkes. I looked at Amon Thompson today though, and he did not play as many minutes as I was hoping for last game, but he still did fine in his minutes. So it's just the minutes volatility. I mentioned OKC second fastest pace in the NBA as of today, so this is a pretty good spot to target, I think.
Yeah, if I have to pick between those two, and honestly, my first gut is to go, you could probably find better value. But I would go with Thompson. Hawkes returning from injury. It's tough to really project his minutes here. Is this his first game back? Yeah, it's his first game back after missing 2. Probably plays 24 to 28, but I don't know if that's enough.
And with Thompson, the model's not loving him. His value projected for 26 minutes. There's a lot of minutes volatility. I don't think we can project him for more than this. And a lot of
Mhm.
times he probably might not even play the 27, but He has a potential to get 33, 34. So at 8%, I'm going to take some shots.
I don't mind it.
Yeah, Turner 6,200. That's the problem. Like, that's why he's so owned, because it's probably a misprice.
Mhm.
Brandon Boston 4,500. Yeah, so I think the minutes are there. He's one of my favorite plays on DraftKings. How do you feel about him on FanDuel?
I love him, man, and I'm kind of pissed that Zion's out because I was already super heavy on him. I had built lineups with like him at about 50%. He was projected like 15 to 20%. Now he's up to 50 on FanDuel. I will say, I mean, definitely get Alvarado in your lives as well. The 5,700 on DK seems insane. I'm shocked that he's not even more popular than Boston, but that three of Ingram, Alvarado, and Brandon Boston are going to be in a ton of my lineups tonight. I'm pretty heavy on Goga. I know that game is a low total, and typically that's not a spot we really want to target, but all these guys are kind of underpriced. And if you are paying up for someone like Ingram, I mean, Franz Wagner as well, these are just really solid wings, seeing ridiculous usage rates in the current makeup of these two teams that are both pretty thin. So, yeah, usually if a game only is a 212-point total, I'm not rushing to get there, especially an early game. But yeah, it's tough to get away from these guys, and Brandon Boston's going to be a big part of my builds tonight.
And what you said about this low total, I mean, a 20-point difference from that Washington Memphis game is crazy, but
Yeah.
these guys are still mispriced. Boston's mispriced. We have him projected for 35. He played 38 and 37. That was with Zion, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't see why he couldn't get 37 again.
Yeah, Hawkins
And
is out. That's what, like the reason the minutes are even more secure. There's still no Hawkins either. So yeah, they're all good.
and so I think we established we like these three. Brandon Ingram, 24%, 33%. That feels a little heavy to me. What do you think?
I mean, I like it. It's just that range is loaded. In the
Mhm.
same game where we have Wagner, we got Jalen, Thompson and Williams priced the same at the same positions. I mean, we're going to talk about a pretty good matchup for Siakam. You got Mobley and Allen in a good matchup. Like, there's so many good power forwards and even small forwards in that 7 to 8K range. Like KD sub 9K. Like, I don't know. I think more than anything, like you pivot just because of the ownership, but at the same time, like if you're landing on Ingram, I wouldn't talk anyone off playing him. With all this extra usage, with McCollum still out and Zion, obviously, he could easily get 50 to 60 fantasy points here.
Um, so, what are your two favorite payups? I mean, it's really boring, but my two highest exposed are Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic. I mean, if Jaren Jackson's a
Um,
pay up, then it's Jaren Jackson. But
yeah, I'm gonna say Luca. I won't go Joker just under the assumption that Murray's gonna be back, and I'm gonna
yeah,
use
yeah, I
a
currently
lot
have
of this.
Jamal out. So
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think if Jackson counts, then I'd say him. Um, I don't know. It's tough. I want forwards. Like I want to pay up at forward. There just aren't that many good ones. I mean, I guess KD even around. I don't know.
well,
Yeah,
if
it's Luca first, and then I don't know. Everything's kind of second to that.
yeah, if I adjust my stuff and I put Jamal Murray back in, it's going to reduce my Jokic projection. And in that case, my second highest pay up is actually Kate Cunningham, who looks awesome in the model today at 8,700. One of the
Mm.
best point guards that we have. And at the price, I mean, this is a really good OF score comparing the guys around him. 8,700, under 20% ownership. It is a little bit heavy considering how many options we have on today's slate, but they're playing Atlanta. It's a good total. So Cade Cunningham, he's just been so consistent, and his ceiling is there every night.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, definitely underpriced.
There's another guy I wanted to mention while we're on this. I mean, Cat is again showing up third in the model. 8,400. Like, this is insane, dude. For him to be this much above everyone or in the same league as these guys that cost 3,000 more than him. Now, I have some concerns about centers versus Milwaukee, but I mean, Cat, he's been an absolute stud, put up like 60 fantasy points last game. Comparing him to the value centers, how hard do we have to consider him?
I mean, on DK, I think you do because you can play the multiple positions. I'll say this about Cat though. First of all, yes, he's underpriced on DK, especially. He's been seeing more usage than I think even Brunson. And like, I don't know if this is going to hold. Like, we've seen Brunson not really hitting the ceilings he was last season, obviously, with Randall there. Cat's demanding a lot more of that. But yeah, this is one of those situations where like the new guy comes in, you want to get him acclimated, you're giving him the ball all the time. Like, I don't know if this is something in a week or so we're talking about. Like, I think Brunson probably is the better fantasy producer over the course of a season. But yeah, the iron's hot. I mean, don't love the matchup, but the upside is just undeniable. And if he's going to continue to get this many looks, Thibs coaching him, he's playing as many minutes as he can handle. So yeah, love him everywhere. Coming off a game against Atlanta 2 nights ago where he played 38 minutes, which is obviously good to see when you're paying up for someone in that range.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I was hoping would happen when Cat got traded to New York. Drafted a ton of him in best ball, and to see this
Nice.
usage is insane. It does hurt that it's taking away so much from Jalen Brunson, though. Uh, Point guards versus Milwaukee is a thing. The model thinks Jalen Brunson is okay for his price today, but he's coming in at 4% ownership. I think this is a pretty good tournament pivot if you're not getting to Cat in that lineup.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Again, I mean, we look at these trends, we look at these game logs. You want to be ahead of the field. Like when Brunson goes for back-to-back games in the 50s and 60s, if you're playing him after that, I mean, you're really not doing anything special. If you can kind of catch that wave before we see it before the rest of the field, that's where you're going to be winning tournaments. So he's the type of play I definitely wouldn't mind mixing in tonight.
And Mr. Don, we can't really go through like full lineups, but I will say that this feels pretty strong for a small field. I mean, it's a lot of the core plays are in there. For a large field, it feels a little chalky, I think, but for small field, it looks awesome.
Yeah, Miller, the one play there, I'm not like crazy about. Like he's not like core for me, but he's a little bit cheaper than he probably should be. We know he has upside, so if he could kind of round into form here, I'm fine with it.
If that's a single entry line, I mean, I don't really think you have to change much. If
Yeah,
anything, seems fine.
yeah, I like it.
Grant Williams and Brandon Miller are available. Nice. Let's take a quick look at Charlotte, I guess. LaMelo, what a fall from grace, man. This guy was up here in the ranks of Giannis and SGA, and now he's down here with Tyrese Halliburton and LeBron James. 9% ownership. His price is still up there. He's been so bad, and it's crazy because against Indiana, you would think that this is like one of the best matchups to target LaMelo in, but I mean, do we have much interest in him today?
Honestly, I was gonna say no, but the fact that he's sub 10% on both sites and like I'm kind of struggling to find where to spend some of this salary, I'm okay with it. Both these guards in this game, him and Halliburton, playing a little bit banged up, I think, but we did see Lamelo go over 50 fantasy points in two of his last three, so we know he's kind of on the precipice of being what he can be. Terrible game against Minnesota, but they're outstanding defensively. And then, I mean, I don't know, like you said, this is a pretty good matchup. If he was more popular, I don't even think I'd be considering it. But like looking at the ownership on all these guards right now, I do think he's under owned compared to someone like Halliburton. Or I know we love Cade Cunningham here, but should Lamelo be half his own? Probably not.
So I'm just scrolling through my lineups because I'm trying to think about how the field's going to construct or like how a lot of the field's lineups are going to look tonight. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot of value center with paying up at guards like LaMelo, Cade Cunningham, Luca. And LaMelo is probably going to be underowned if you're doing that. So that's a good pivot if you're following what the field's doing. And I mean, we have enough values at point guard. I think we had someone in the chat, Scottie Pippen or Alvarado. It's so close. I'm going to say Scottie Pippen just because the matchup is much better. And that's pretty much the whole reason. Yeah, I'll say Scottie Pippen here.
Yeah, I think it's close. Um, yeah, I guess I lean Pippen slightly, but I love both of them honestly. Like they're probably going to be my two highest owned guards on both sites.
I want to see what the model thinks. Scottie Pippen. Is the model not even like Scottie Pippen as a value?
Price. Yeah, he's priced up to 6,500 now. He's rating 14-1 on DK, which is okay, but Alvarado's not really popping either, so I'm kind of surprised by that. Maybe I need to refresh, but
Yeah, I think the model slightly prefers Alvarado, but it doesn't look like it's telling us either of them are must get tos. And so I don't think you have to feel like you have to play one in every lineup. I mean, just in a vacuum, I'm probably going to prefer Brandon Boston over both of them.
yeah, yeah. I think point per dollar because he's like 1K plus cheaper. That makes sense. But Boston's also the most popular. Um, or no?
I mean, I'm definitely going to have lineups with all three of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say, like, I don't want to make it sound like I don't like any of these three because they're probably my highest owned guards.
Cunningham, yeah, love Cunningham.
Yes.
Model loves Cunningham today. Great play. Luca on DraftKings. I'm going to get to a ton, but I gave him a slight boost based on the Phoenix narrative, like 5%, which is whatever. For Luca, it's kind of a lot, but 10 and 9%. I'll still take shots. He hasn't really had a Luka game yet this season, and what a perfect spot then to do it against his favorite franchise, the one that he owns.
Yeah, I mean, first few games of the season, Luca was missing his short range shots, also missing more free throws than usual. So, last couple games, the layups started to fall. We're seeing him getting over 60 fantasy points again, which is obviously good to see. So, happy to go to Luca here for sure, everywhere. And as long as he stays under 10%, I mean, I want to come in around 30, I think, if I can. So, definitely like him.
So New York's kind of a tough matchup. They don't play that fast, and they're pretty good on defense. Total 224. It's not terrible. Giannis is in. Gary Trent is out. I wasn't really looking at anyone here except for I wanted to make sure I got a few percent of Andre Jackson. It just the minutes are there. I don't think anything's different from yesterday, especially with Gary Trent out. So we haven't projected for 30 minutes and less than 10% ownership on both sides. I'm going to be over this 9% on Andre Jackson on DraftKings anyway.
Yeah, honestly, definitely want to get some Andre Jackson. Again, just another pretty good value piece. We know he's going to get the minutes. I'll add Dame to that point guard pool. Definitely not a priority for me, not a good matchup. But if no one's going to play him, it makes sense to pivot. He has the upside. And the more I think about it, like, I really don't like the matchup for Giannis here. I definitely don't like him as much as I like Jokic or Luka. But I want to keep an eye on this ownership because, again, it's very easy to find value at center and guard tonight. Giannis is a power forward, and we're seeing 3% on both sites. That's just wrong, in my opinion, even on a big slate. So I don't know, maybe 10% of Giannis is a good way to get some exposure there. You don't have to go crazy. Um, but yeah, I mean, why not? He can certainly get there, especially if this game's competitive.
Yeah, and they're playing in the Garden, man. I saw Giannis play in the Garden in his rookie year. Got on the jumbotron. It's one of the coolest sporting
Oh,
experiences
yeah.
of my life, dude.
That's awesome.
Michael Porter, Brandon Miller. I think they're both fine. I'm getting to more MPJ personally, but I think I'm with or over the field on both.
Yeah, still no Aaron Gordon, so I'd lean Porter out of those two. I do want to bring up Watson again. I mean, we saw him as total chalk last time once we knew that Gordon would be out. I think he's going a bit overlooked today. Yeah, 2% on DK, 7% on FanDuel. I'm fine using him as value pretty aggressively. I'll definitely be way over that.
Yeah, he will start again if Jamal, or he should start again if Jamal Murray's
Even if
out.
Murray's in. Yeah, he's starting either
If
way.
he's in, yeah, that's what I mean. Do we think DiVincenzo gets over 30 since it's back to back and Conley plays less? I think that any answer we have here would just be speculation. It's I don't
Yeah,
really have a good answer for that.
rotation. I mean, Conley's look great. So has DiVincenzo. I think you could play either of them. Just know they're both more tournament plays, like in small field or cash. I really wouldn't want to lean on either. Um, but yeah, they're both too cheap for what they can do.
I mean, DiVincenzo hasn't played over 30 minutes since the opener. I just would have no reason to adjust that projection today,
Right.
even on the back to back.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with him, I mean, his usage as like the sixth man has been great. So I still
Yeah,
like
he's
him.
been good. Am I understanding right? We prefer Luca over Joker. So if Jamal Murray was out, I have Jokic projected a few points better. With Jamal Murray in, I have him basically exactly the same. And with the value that we have today at the position center, power forward, I don't know if we have that much forward value, but it's just leading me to get more Luca than Jokic because the paying up at point guard is easier than paying up at center.
Exactly. Love
Do,
both. But yeah, totally with you.
do we think Jamal Murray plays? I think we're under the impression he plays since he went through shoot around and he's just dealing with a concussion, not like a other bodily injury.
Right.
Any teams? Let me pull up my notes. Actually, no, there's something we missed here. Oh no, we got everything. Is there any Nicholas Queta? Do we need to talk about Queta more?
I mean, he's fine. You can use him as
Aimless.
value. The minutes are there. Um, against the Nets. Clarkson should play more tonight. Simmons isn't in healthy, likely coming off the bench. So it's not a perfect matchup, but at the same time, they're just so thin in the front court. And Keita is one of these guys that if they were to start blowing the Nets out, he's probably still going to get his fourth quarter run.
I don't think
At
so.
least
Yeah,
not
I think
anymore.
no. He lost his fourth quarter run last game. He didn't get any.
Is it Tillman they're giving it to?
They
Or
gave it to Tillman. Yeah, Tillman. So he was actually the first sub in for Queta over Cornet, even though Cornet's out today. But then Tillman did not come in again until garbage time. So Queta got his like 28 minutes in 3 quarters, which
wow.
is something that I think we have to look at. He's projected for 25. I think this is very low.
Yeah, I'll say this. I prefer Goga. I prefer Gafford. But if you're looking to differentiate, you're playing multiple lineups. Kata is another really solid center value. So feel free to get to him.
Yeah, and I'm happy they raised his price, so at least it's a harder decision today. Because if he was still like 3,700, we're just jamming him, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
How about Jimmy Butler against Denver? I mean, were you looking at any Heat players?
I mean, if there's anything here, it's probably Butler. But it's more just like there's not a ton of great forwards. But I don't know, like where he's priced. I'd rather go to Williams. I'd rather go to Jalen Johnson. Like we listed a bunch of other guys. Jared Jackson's gonna have a ton of that exposure for me. I don't know. Hero feels a little underpriced. Rozier feels a little bit underpriced. I guess Hero is probably my favorite Heat player. But again, there's so much good guard value, and we have a few really solid payups. So I'm not rushing there, but yeah, I think you could play Bam, Hero, Butler, Rozier, and feel okay about it. Wouldn't call any of them priorities or really even close to priorities, though.
I have exposure to two Heat players today. One of them's Tyler Harrow. I'm about twice the field on DraftKings. Feels pretty
Nice.
comfortable. The other one is Haywood Highsmith.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I would,
3,300 going unowned.
yeah,
It's
I
just
mean, I don't mean to cut you off, but just keep in mind that Hawkes is back. He was out the last two
mhm.
games, so I know Highsmith kind of sparked the ceiling against Phoenix, but I don't know that that's still in his bag with Hawkes back in the rotation.
That's a good point. It just I see this as a spot where they can run Highsmith at the four. So
Mm.
they started him in the second half over Jovic last game, and someone somewhere said that was a possibility. Sharp call by them. And so this might be a little bit chasey, but I'm getting a couple percent of Highsmith, more about what he allows to do with the rest of my lineup. So don't take this as like, oh, we should be jamming in Highsmith. No, I just wanted to mention in my 150 set, I have a few percent.
Yeah, at his price, it's not crazy.
What price range is a spend up on FanDuel? Like over 8K, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, depends on the slate. On a huge slate like this, I'd almost say 9K, but um, yeah, eight plus. And again, it's all subjective. There's no like set definition for these things.
Yusuf Nurkic. So the thing with a lot of these other centers that we haven't talked about, and it's not to say they aren't viable. It's just it's so hard for a player like Nurkic to sneak into the winning lineup today. He really has to have a ceiling game, and just considering the range of outcomes for him versus all the other value center plays we have, it's just it seems like a really low outcome. But 2 and 3%. I mean, he's under 6K, so if you want to get a
Yeah,
couple shots,
yeah. If you're landing on them, fine. But again, not something I'm really prioritizing.
thoughts on Josh Hart?
Plays a lot of minutes.
Plays a lot of minutes, yeah. So I was looking at this earlier because Cat was popping. He's popping on the model like crazy, and so I was looking at my lineups without Cat if I could get a little bit more of Josh Hart, but I don't know, it might not even matter.
He's fine. Again, kind of a last piece in. We haven't really seen tons of upside from him because on the offensive end, most of that usage is going to Cat. OG's been shooting more too lately. But yeah, Hart, if you're looking for like a floor play, you're playing cash games, single entry, small field stuff. I mean, Hart's always one of the safer quote unquote plays in that mid range.
Clowney and Simmons in, so 1% Claxton is now zero. Yeah, we haven't talked about anyone on your Nets today. I think I was getting a few percent of Ben Simmons, but nothing else. Are you looking at anyone here as a play?
Yeah, tonight's one of the rare Nets in town games that I'm not going to. And I don't really have any FOMO either. Last game I went to was Kyrie's last game was a net. They got played off the floor, lost by 40, and it was hysterical. Paid for really nice seats just to get stomped. But yeah, I mean, Claxton should start to see more minutes. Um, there was word Fernandez wanted him to play the back to back on the third and fourth, and he said from there he would start him and start to ramp him up. At the same time, this is coach speak. It's not necessarily something you could really bank on, but I think we could get 28 to 30 from him here. The issue is just that it's a terrible matchup. And yeah, I mean, the Nets, if they're smart, they're going to try to slow this game down a bit. So it doesn't really feel great. I mean, you could mix in Schroeder, Cam Thomas if you want to. I tend to do it more than most. And tonight I'm really, really low on these guys. I think the starters are viable, but for me to get to any of them on such a big slate, it feels like I'd be forcing it. Like the model really doesn't like him, and I tend to agree.
Thoughts on Powell FanDuel? I'm going to assume this is Norm Powell.
Oh yeah,
He's been
I'm fine
really
with
good.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
6,300 is an incorrect price for him, I think.
Yep. Just firing up shots. Harden playing the true point guard role more often than not. Like I play a lot of same game parlays, things like that. Like I've quickly learned, just don't be betting Harden points. He's doing everything else. I mean, Powell and Zoo are seeing tons of usage with this team. Happy to keep going to Powell until his price comes up closer to mid 6, 7K.
Harden under points has been one of the most consistent props I've
Yep.
been hitting this year.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's all I like.
let's take a quick look at these night games since they are on the FanDuel slate. No one's really pulling ownership except for Anthony Davis. No one else over 5%. Is there anyone here that you think deserves more ownership on FanDuel?
There's one guy, and it feels disgusting to say out loud, but Tyrese Maxey is out tonight. If you're looking for more guard value, I don't think it's crazy to play Lowry. I mean, if this game stays close, could easily play, 30 minutes. So am I excited to play Lowry? No. But if you're playing a bunch of lineups, you want to pivot off of some of the chalkier guards. I think he makes some sense. Other than that, I mean, there's really nothing on the 76ers. I think AD's fine if he's in playing a little bit banged up, which gives me some concern. Obviously, he's been tougher and healthier over the past year or so, but playing hurt, I mean, you always run that risk. But yeah, I mean, LeBron's just another forward. Like I said earlier, I mean, it's tough to find where to spend some of this money. I don't mind like upgrading one of these like forwards I really like a Jalen Johnson or Williams to LeBron just because I have the salary. He's certainly capable of outperforming them and probably at lower ownership. So I like AD and LeBron. I like Lowry enough to mention him, but that's pretty much it from that late game.
Yeah, and then with Sacramento, I don't know. I'll just mention
That's
Keegan Murray as a GPP play. Everyone else is probably priced appropriately.
They are priced appropriately, I will say. Sabonis, I think earlier was drawing some ownership. Kind of same story as LeBron though. Like I don't mind getting to DeRozan just as a way to get a little bit different. 8K flat, um, pretty consistently hovering around 40 fantasy points. Not a terrible matchup either against this current iteration of the Clippers. So fine getting to him. And then on the other side, Harden's obviously fine. You brought up Powell, he looks good. And then Zubac, if there weren't so many centers I already liked, I'd mention him. But yeah, if anything here, I kind of like DeRozan at lower ownership, just knowing he can maybe spike some upside.
Mobley over JJJ. So I actually looked into the specific pivot earlier, and it's just Mobley is such a high risk pivot off JJJ. So it's fine to do it a little bit, but I would never play more Mobley than JJJ tonight. He just looks too good in the model. Where is he?
Yeah.
Jaren Jackson. Yeah. Ownership on Goga and Gafford. Sort by DK value. Gafford's 15% on both sites. Goga is 14 and 11.
Yeah. Both lower than they should be, in my opinion. But
How about Matherin tonight? Did we talk about Matherin? I think we did already. Yeah, Rick Carlisle likes him right now, so he's probably a good play at his price. He's for sure underpriced if we can project him for 30 plus minutes.
yeah, he's one of my favorite plays on the slate. I'm gonna have like 70% on FanDuel if we're being honest. You can play him at guard or forward. Seeing as high of a usage rate as Siakam or anyone else on that team. And if you go back to our videos last year, I feel like every Pacers slate, I was like, I just wish they'd give Matherin minutes. I just wish they'd give him minutes. He's the best scorer on this team. And I've gotten plenty wrong here. I mean, we're talking about some of these rookies like Carrington that are outperforming my expectations. But one thing I've gotten right is Matherin, and I'm happy to continue to beat that drum. Unfortunately, he is very popular now, especially with TJ McConnell out, 30+% on both sites. But for me, I'm probably going to double that still. I just think he's excellent. Way too cheap for what he can do.
Yeah, this is the kind of chalk that I'm less inclined to get away from because it's just he's so mispriced. He should be 6K plus for sure. Sure, the minutes are kind of volatile, but I mean, we can't really guess what Rick Carlisle's thinking today. And right now, as far as we know, Matherin has been good.
4 straight games over 30 minutes. That's even with McConnell in, and one of the highest totals on the board against the Hornets. Really good matchup on the road against a terrible defense. So just checking all the boxes.
Let's see, Harrow or Ivy DK single entry.
I got
Harrow.
Hero. Yeah, I mean Ivy's gonna pop in the model because he has upside. It's a good matchup, but I don't know. I just feel like I trust Hero more night to night.
They actually both look pretty awesome, but Ivy gets the edge in the model. I'm assuming he's getting a little bit of a usage bump with Duran out.
Hmm.
They both look good though. I think they're both fine plays. So, which
Yep.
position has the most value? It's center.
Center. Yeah.
Oubre. Oubre might
Yeah.
be going a little overlooked. I'm probably going to play him a ton on the night slate.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if I was confident Paul George would play like 35 minutes, I'd probably get to him aggressively with Maxi out, but I don't think we can project that. So Oubre is a guy who should see a nice boost here. His price has come up. He is scoring dependent, so it's tough to feel great about. But again, no Maxi, definitely can't argue with it.
Is Nurkic worth a play at only 5,400? Nurkic is 5,400 on FanDuel.
I must have missed that. Yeah, he's fine. I mean, again, there's so many good
Yeah.
value centers, but that's a misprice. And yeah, I mean, he struggled a bit against Gafford last time out, but he actually had a pretty good fantasy score. I watched that game. It felt like Gafford was eating his lunch, but I don't know. I guess my memory is a little cloudy from that night because yeah, Nurk easily exceeded value where he's priced tonight. So fine with it for sure.
Yeah, 5,400. He's worth some shots. It's a little risky because he's in and out of the coach's graces right now, but for the
And
price,
Dallas can
he's
play small if
3%.
they wanted to. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's the other scary thing.
yeah.
But
These teams both could go small for sure.
yeah, Royce O'Neal's been getting some minutes at the five, and not that I want to play Royce O'Neal here, but it's enough for me to hesitate a little bit to rush to Nurk. But he is upside.
Isaiah Stewart, FanDuel. Yeah, he's
Yep,
fine.
yep.
I think these minutes. I don't know if we can project him for more, but I think he has potential to see more than this. So even 10% at the 5,100. It's just this 4,300 at 13% seems a little bit incorrect.
Yeah, it does. I like him, and if you are playing him on FanDuel again, I'd use him at power forward.
Conchar and Merrill are in. All right, so that doesn't. I don't know
I
that
don't
we're
care about
looking at the
Merrill, but yeah,
Cavs. Yeah.
The Conchar thing maybe hurts my take on Laravia. I was pretty bullish on him when we started this video. I don't feel as good with Conchar back in, but that's not going to take me off Pippen or Jackson.
Dude, I need to be sure that Scottie Pippen is starting. He's still going to be a good play off the bench, but I mean, I
Who would
think we're.
start?
Dude, they did it before. I don't know. John Conchar. Maybe they can't with given who's out today, but
Well, they
they've done
used to
it
have what's his
before.
name. The Nets had him for a minute. Who was their rookie guard last year? I'm not going to remember his name.
Well,
Um,
I guess
Point
we
guard.
just. I can't even remember. I guess we just have to assume he starts though. Scottie Pippen.
Yeah, I do. Um, what is this stupid guy's name? Um, nope. All right. Yeah, this is pointless to even look up, but anyway. Sorry for killing the momentum.
Well, put the first player in the dummy, Scottie Pippen. Might as well. I'm going to put
Yeah,
Brandon Boston as the second one. Which value center are we throwing in here first?
I like Goga.
Okay. Who's the second player supposed to be here? Brandon Boston. We'll put
Awesome.
Goga at center.
I like Matherin.
Yep, Matherin at small forward seems pretty good. 7,100 for the last four spots. It's pretty great. So let's try putting Luca in the second guard spot.
Yep.
Still 5,700. I think we got to throw Jaren Jackson Jr. in here.
Yeah, go Jackson, and then if we have a forward, like I don't mind Peyton Watson. Like I'm trying to think if we want other value.
Peyton Watson feels a little thin for the dummy.
Yeah, the
What's
price
his ownership?
increase is a little spooky.
He's coming in for 1% ownership.
Yeah, that's a
Well,
little bit of a
what's a
risk.
chalk on DK? Miles Turner, man. All right, let's throw Miles Turner in there. Models identifying him as a good value. We should listen.
Hmm.
And that leaves us 3,700 for forward. Is that
Or if we don't go Turner, we could go Beef Stew. Um,
yeah, let's try Beef Stew. I wish he had power forward eligibility. It'd make things a little easier for us.
Big time.
It's probably good he doesn't, though. 5,600 for forward. That gives us OG Anobi, Zachary Ricochet, Sar, Clay Thompson. So there's some options.
Yeah, I think I trust Sar most out of that group, which is kind of insane.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, or we take Luca out and go Cade Cunningham, one of the other like kind of pay up values model that the model was identifying, leaves us 8,500 for Jalen Johnson, Brandon Ingram.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I can go
So
with that.
a lot of stuff, a lot of flexibility here today. So just do one final refresh and just sort by ownership to see if anything changed, and then we'll hand it off to Jayhawk in the Discord. Yeah, man. Turner, JJJ, Brandon Boston, Benedict, Jose Alvarado. It's not how I
Can't
thought today
argue
was
with
going
it.
to go.
Yeah, I mean, it all makes sense. It's all very logical, and yeah, just so much to like tonight. I mean, eat the chalk you like, fade. I don't know the pay ups you don't, but there's so many ways to get different.
Colin likes Bam Adebayo. Bam's too cheap. I considered Bam earlier. Yeah, I think I got a couple percent, or maybe I didn't actually. But protected for 11 and 8%. 7,400 is a really good price. The problem is just that we only get 2 center spots on DraftKings.
Yeah, he's been awesome. Don't get me wrong. Again, it's just all the value kind of seems to be at center. But if you want to find 800 to go up to Bam from Turner, I think that's a pretty smart pivot.
Nick Power wants to know Vince Williams. Is Vince Williams playing?
I don't think he's back yet. He's with the G League. They're kind of ramping him up. He's healthy, but they want to like condition him down with the Memphis G League team. So he should be playing. I think maybe as soon as this weekend, but not tonight. With the G League until he can get going.
Melton's in. Yeah, this Golden State rotation's tough. I mean, I think last time I mentioned Curry's kind of deep, and then he went off and had a 60 ball. So, I mean, maybe I get a couple percent of Curry, but not getting too much else there. No one plays minutes.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
And then Giannis or Tatum,
Oof,
I'm not getting
yeah.
much of either.
I mean, if you don't need the salary, I'd go Giannis. I just think he has the higher floor. I don't know. Tatum's fine here. Like the Nets have been doubling team's best player. I think tonight Tatum's going to get double teamed. Does it matter? Maybe not, but yeah, they've been kind of scheming to take guys out of the game. If you want to play Boston and it's not Keita, I actually like Derek White. Um, I think I'll mix him in a little bit with shooting guard eligibility. But yeah, I'll go Giannis if you can pick between the two.
Well, guys, that'll do it for us. If you want to hear Jayhawk's thoughts on this slate, instructions to join the Discord Q&A are in the description below. We appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you tomorrow.